All right, what is going on, guys? It is Fast Cars, Fast Money, and we're finally back to doing some videos. I know the last couple of races, it was just the spreadsheet, but we are back doing the podcast. And this week, we're going to be breaking down the Trucks, Xfinity, and Cup series at the Daytona Road Course. And we're going to get today started with the Truck series, which is racing on Friday night. So when looking at this slate, a couple of things that I'm thinking about, and I think Coop and Rich are probably along the same lines, is it's a pretty short race. There's really not that many laps. So from a dominator perspective, you probably want to focus more on, place differential and guys that can finish up front, and try to stack as many of those guys in your lineup as possible instead of stacking, guys that you think are going to be leading laps just because there's really not that many points there to gain. Secondly, we really want to focus on guys in the back with good equipment because of the Daytona wreck fest. A lot of these good guys are starting really far back in the field that at a normal, cookie cutter 1.5 track, we wouldn't really see that. So you're going to have a pretty wide range of, equipment all over the track. But I still think GMS is the team to beat with Sheldon Creed, Raphael Lassard, all those guys. I think you want to try to get as many GMS trucks in your lineups as possible. And like I said, if you guys want access to the spreadsheet, hop over on Twitter. It's at Fast Cars FM. You guys can pull this up for yourselves, kind of see where, myself, Rich, and Coop, where our thoughts are for the slate. But either you guys have any other initial thoughts when kind of looking at this slate?
No, there's just a ton of place differential plays and not a lot of great value under 7K. That's about it.
All right. Well, Coop, why don't you start us off? Why don't you tell all the listeners out there who the best play is in the 10K range?
Yeah, so off of that first initial thoughts, I think that I'm combining the first two. I'm combining place differential potential and finishing potential. So these guys up top, like you said, there's a lot of great plays up here. Austin Hill is a fine play. Ankrum, Gilliland, Friesen, I like all of those guys, and they're really a double-edged sword. They should move up. They should move up quickly. They should get you those place differential points at the end, and they should get you the finishing position. So that's really where I'm focusing in the top tier.
Yeah, everybody in the 10K range is in play. Austin Hill and Brett Moffitt both offer some PD upside, and then John Hunter and Sheldon Creed, they're going to have the potential dominator points. Even though there's not that many dominator points available in this one, they're definitely going to probably be the ones that grab the most of those.
Yeah, I agree. When you're looking at some of these guys that are starting in the, especially the top 10, but more or less the top 5, I think Sheldon Creed is probably John Hunter and Nemechek are probably be running those top 3 trucks down probably in the first 2-3 corners of the race. So for me, I probably, if you're looking at the top 5, like on the starting grid, I probably only want to play maybe 1 or 2 of those guys. And if I had to focus on anyone, it's probably going to be Sheldon Creed, just because he won this race last year. He's in a GMS truck. I think he can easily get out front and lead stage 1. Whether he gets out back front after stage 1, I don't know if that's possible or not, but I think he's a pretty safe bet to lead the early part of stage 1 there. And then after that, I'm really just trying to just stack my line with as many place differential guys as possible. So I don't think I'm going to be playing really anyone starting inside the top 15. I haven't really built lines yet, but that's kind of how I'm looking at things so far.
Yeah, I would agree with that. Absolutely.
I'm the same way. And there's a little bit of a gap there where you have some guys that are starting a little higher up, but I sort of skip over that a little bit, and I'm more interested once you hit Kraus and then Gray. I'm very interested in Gray, and again, trying to combine the place differential and the final position points. I think you can add up a lot with a lot of these drivers in here, and if you can find those drivers to pick out across the price ranges, I think that's the best and safest bet for you too.
Yeah, and it's tough. I mean, it's tough to fit in a lot of these guys into your lineup, right? So you kind of have to prioritize, like, okay, if I'm going to be paying, over 9-10K for a driver, which kinds of those drivers do I want to be plugging into my lineup? For me, I probably only want one of them who I think is going to be a lap leader, who really doesn't have that much place differential potential, maybe like a John Hunter Nemechek or a Sheldon Creed. Like, you probably only want one of those guys in your lineup. And then it's really just trying to hammer the place differential guys, whether that's Austin Hill, Brett Moffitt, Tyler Ankrum, Todd Gilliland, Stuart Friesen. I mean, even Sam Mayer. I mean, all of these guys start so deep in the field that they're almost bound to move forward. And every time they move forward, it's at least one, PD point. So I think there's probably going to be more points to be had on the place differential side than there is on the lap leading side. But what about Ben Rhodes starting on the pole? Do you think there's any chance that he could potentially lead the stage one, or do you think Sheldon Creed's just going to run him down?
For me, I honestly would probably say Sheldon Creed or John Hunter Nemechek are going to get there within the first 2 or 3 laps. I don't really see them or him holding them off for very long. I mean, he might lead the first lap.
I'm not willing to find out.
Yeah, not at all.
Yeah, so we're probably fading the guy on the pole, but in another video, you'll probably hear us talk about how we're really excited about a guy on a pole. So tune into that video probably after you guys watch this one. What about any other these other guys in the 8K range that get you guys excited? It looks like we have some good place differential guys here as well. I see Riley Herbst is, in the race. Xfinity guy. You have Parker Chase, who's in the 51 truck for Kyle Busch. Looks like he can probably be able to move up. Rafael Lessard is always a good road racer in GMS equipment, but doesn't look like he has enough place differential. Do you guys like any of these guys in the 8K range?
I honestly have not found myself when building play many guys in this range. Not that I don't like any of them. It's just the way I end up building. I have a lot of the 7K guys and then 1 or 2 of the 10K guys. But in this range, I definitely like Riley Herbst. He's offers really good PD upside. And then Matt Crafton, he's probably going to run around the top 10 all day. Offers the finishing position points and a few PD points if he can finish in the top 5.
I agree. If I was to play anybody in this range, and I see myself maybe only playing one out of this range, depending on line construction, but it would be Crafton, Herbst, or Lessard would be the 3, and I'll throw Sauter in there too. He's just outside the 8K range, but he's close enough. Those would be the guys I would be most interested in building my lines.
Okay, and then it sounds like you guys are, when you're constructing these lines, you're finding yourself in this 7K range, quite often. So who out of this range is worthwhile playing? Looks like we got a lot of high and medium interest here. It looks like Kraus, Nolan, and Gray are probably going to be the focus points.
Kraus and Gray are the 2 that stand out to me. Those would be my preference, and I do find myself playing them in more lines than not.
Yeah, I agree. Derek Kraus is a solid play. Kaz Gralla, been on this road course before. He's a solid play, offers some good PD upside. And then Timothy Peters, I feel like he's going to come in kind of low owned. He offers a little bit of PD upside as well. He should be fighting for a top 15.
Yeah, I think I like those 3 guys that you mentioned first, for a couple of reasons. One, they're cheaper than a Timothy Peters, a Johnny Sauter. And 2, they also start further back in the field, so that's only more points for them to gain moving forward. So I think those are all really good plays. We probably want to get maybe 2 of those guys in there, depending on, the rest of what your line looks like. After the 7K range, if you're having to plug some of these guys in your lineup, I mean, best of luck to you, but there's not really too many guys below the 7K range that I feel super confident about. I think you can kind of, mess around. If you have a gut feeling about a guy, plug them in. You can kind of see where our interest level is, none, low. And there's a couple guys or girls in that case with Haley Deegan that we think, hey, this might be an okay play. But I would just say, just be careful if you're playing any of these guys down here. Don't expect, big things out of these people.
I like Haley Deegan, actually. She's new, she's learning, and we'll have to see as the season goes on. But she's in a fast truck, and I think she has great potential. I think throughout the year, I think her price is only going to go up, and she's somebody that I do not mind plugging in my line for a little bit of value at all.
I agree with that. I think she's decent value. This is her first time on a road course in the truck, so like definitely going to be a learning curve with having to drive right, make right turns.
It's a little bit of a gamble, but again, I think she's set up for success. I think she has everything she needs to succeed, and I think she can get you there. I think it's a little bit of a gamble, but I don't think it's a bad one.
And then for me, the only other person I'd probably play down here is Timmy Hill.
Timmy Hill, yeah. I mean, that's kind of the nature of the truck series, right? I mean, you have all these stars and, scrubs, and you have a couple of people that are kind of in between. So when you're looking equipment wise, I mean, Haley Deegan has good equipment. So her equipment alone should be able to outrun a lot of these other trucks that are priced around her. But I think she probably will draw some interest compared to the people around her. So the people around her probably would be lower owned.
Absolutely.
In case something does happen to Haley, if she, spins out or, cuts a tire or, speeds on pit road or, whatever it is, she might be able to rebound. But that might, hurt some other lineups. Yeah, I think Timmy Hill's a good play. He always takes care of his equipment. He starts pretty deep in the field. I can see him moving forward, especially if you need some salary relief at only $5,000. And then I kind of like Camden Murphy a little bit too, if you have to go this low and get a guy in here. He starts pretty deep in the field, and he's in decent equipment. I wouldn't expect him to finish, probably any higher than 20th, but with starting 37th, that's only going to give you, a bunch of PD, especially if you're making up those lost points with some of the other stars that you can plug in.